My name is Nurul Natasya Binti Muhammad Faizul. My matrix number is 052879.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nadhirah binti Roslan. My matrix number is 052849.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurul Iffah binti Ishak. My matrix number is 052867.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Handayani binti Safrizal. My matrix number is 052853.
Hi, my name is Afini Izzah binti Aidi Rahmat. My matrix number is 054369.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 5. We'll present the topic 7, which is accommodating employees in the workplace. So, what is an overview of this topic? Workplace accommodation is any change in the working environment that allows a person with a disability or limitation to carry out their job duties. Next, there are 3 types of reasonable accommodation. The first one is no-tech, and accommodation costs little or no money, just time, support, and creativity. The second one is low-tech, any accommodation that is technologically simple or unsophisticated and ready available in most offices. The third one is high-tech, an accommodation that use advanced or sophisticated devices. Example of possible accommodation. There are 9 examples of it. The first one is job restructuring. It's a form of reasonable accommodation which enables many qualified individuals with disabilities to perform jobs effectively. The agency is not required to relocate essential job functions, so a fair adjustment to the timing or manner in which vital operations are performed. So the first one is reassign work. Second one is eliminate non-essential tasks. The third one is reassign visit to accessible sites. The last one is allow work in other than the traditional office setting.
Modified work schedules and flexible leave policies. Modified work schedule may include flexibility in work hours or the work week or part-time work. Meanwhile, flexible leave policy should be considered as a reasonable accommodation when people with disability require time off from work because of their disabilities. People with disability that may need modified work schedule and flexible leave. First, the one who requires special medical treatment for their disability. Second, people who need rest period. Third, whose disabilities are affected by eating or sleeping schedule. Fourth, who need to repair a prosthesis or equipment. Fifth, temporary adverse condition in the work environment. Modification or purchase of equipment and devices. For people with many types of disabilities, there are many devices that make it possible for people to overcome barriers to performing a function of a job. These devices range from very simple solutions to high technology electronic equipment. The agency is only obligated to provide equipment that is needed to perform a job, and there is no obligation to provide equipment that the individual uses regularly in daily life like glasses or a wheelchair. But the agency may be obligated to provide items of the nature if special adaptation are required to perform a job. Example of equipment and devices: teletypewriters, tactile marking in braille, talking calculators, and braille printers. Training. Reasonable accommodation should be provided when needed to give employees with disability equal opportunity to benefit from training to perform their job effectively and to advance in employment. Needed accommodation may include providing accessible training site, training material in alternate format, sign language interpreter or captioning.
Next, modification of policies. Policy modification may include changing a workplace policy that prohibits something an employee with a disability needs to do their job. An emergency evacuation procedure may be developed to provide effective egress for employees with difficulty in mobility in case of emergency. An employee may also be given an accessible parking permit designated for persons with disabilities. Next is modification of physical site, building and facility. Employment activities must take place in an integrated setting. Employees with disability may not be segregated into particular facilities or parts of facilities. Architectural barriers may have to be removed or altered to provide structural accessibility. Agency is not required to make structural changes that are unreasonable and would impose an undue hardship. Non-structural changes are allowed instead of structural changes if they achieve the same result. For example, cup dispenser may be installed to make drinking fountain more accessible for people in wheelchair. Other than that, provision of readers, communication access providers, or personal assistant. A reasonable accommodation to provide a reader for a qualified individual with a vision disability if this would not impose an undue hardship. A deaf person applying for a job as a clerk typist may need an interpreter for the interview because the applicant and interviewer must communicate fully and effectively. Providing an assistant to guide a blind person who must travel as part of the job.
Reassignment to a vacant position and light duty. If an employee can no longer perform the essential function of his job, the employer should reassign the employee to a vacant position within the agency or district government. Next, the new position should be one that the employee is qualified to perform and that pays a comparable salary. Thus, the reassignment should be considered only if there are no reasonable accommodation available that allow the employee to perform the essential function of the current job. Besides, it does not require the employee to compete for the new position or violating the seniority system under which someone is entitled to the vacant position. Other than that, it's required to reassign an employee with a disability to a light duty job. Next, if an employer reserves certain jobs for light duty, rather than creating light duty job as needed, the employer must reassign the employee to a vacant reserved light duty position. Furthermore, it is because reassignment to a vacant position and appropriate changes to an employer's policy are forms of reasonable accommodation required by the ADA. Other accommodations. There are many other accommodations that may be effective for people with different disabilities in different jobs. Firstly, an employee can make sporadic site visit to a home for inspection. Mileage is paid as part of the job. Instead, an employee who doesn't drive may be allowed to use paratransit or taxicab instead of a personal car. Next, a person with an intellectual disability is hired for a maintenance position. An employer may offer the use of a job coach for individualizing on-the-job training services. Thus, a person with learning disability may require assignments and instruction to be communicated by email rather than verbally. Last but not least, if a person's disability makes it difficult to come to the office and the job can be done off-site, an accommodation may be to allow the person to work from home. Accommodating Islam in the workplace. Islam has exclusive religious practice that could impact the workplace, which some customs may be easily accommodated and some might not, and seldom cause an undue hardship. Thus, an employer should be critically assess the needs of Muslims that relates to workplace and reasonably accommodate the employee's request if their absence creates an undue hardship when accommodating religious requests. However, the company is not expected to allocate expenses on it unless it could cause workplace safety, decrease workplace efficiency, infringes on the rights of other employees, hazardous or burdensome work.
Lastly, the recruitment process from Islamic perspective by me, Handayani. Recruitment is the process of generating a pool of capable people to apply for employment to an organization. The need for recruitment is determined by forecasting the number of employees needed in the future and making allowance for level turnover rate during that period. Recruitment in HRM must be aware about the internal environment includes promotion from within and nepotism, while the external environment includes labor market conditions and legal issues. Recruiting in Islam is the process to discover any potential candidates for job vacancies in an organization. Islam has ordered the employer to be responsible and adil to make sure recruitment process has been done fairly. Promotion from within is open the job for workers who already work in the company, and nepotism is hiring of relative. Conventional HRM allow nepotism recruitment but must be careful of civil right violation because it is illegal to discriminate in hiring candidates. Rasulullah strongly emphasized to be fair, siddiq and tabligh in order to recruit a worker. Tabligh means the employer must explain very well in advertisement about the job, includes job description, wage and any benefit. The Labour Law of 2005 Article 25 mandates that firms must send to the competent labour office about a statement of vacancies and new job, a notice to step taken to employ nationals, a list of names, jobs, profession, wage, nationals of workers, and lastly a report on the status, condition and nature of work.